We now return to Demolition on Modern Marvels.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Not all demolition happens when a contractor presses a button or an operator pulls a lever on a machine. Sometimes Mother Nature decides it's time to bring a building down. Other times it's a lawless act of hate-fueled destruction. When such disasters strike, the demolition industry goes to work.
One of the things that people don't realize about the demolition industry is that we're usually one of the first responders to any kind of a disaster, man-made or natural. Hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, large fires, or terror attacks. This can be very difficult work for anybody involved with that process, and the demolition industry aren't exempt from those feelings.
Nothing exemplifies this more than the cleanup necessary after the September 11th World Trade Center attacks. One of the largest and most complex demolition and removal projects in history. Mazzocchi Wrecking was among the first demolition companies to arrive at the site.
That day I was across the river and I watched the whole collapse and everything, and I knew our company was going to get a phone call. Sure enough, around 2 o'clock, my boss called me and said, "Get ready." They called us, they wanted us to go in there. And we were there from that day, 8 months on, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mazzocchi Wrecking and other demolition crews arrived to find a dangerous and volatile environment, unlike any they had experienced before.
When we first arrived, there were still fires burning down there. There was fuel on fire. The steel was so hot from the jet fuel that it was literally steaming. Your boots would melt in certain areas. That's how hot it was. The steel was coming out red in certain areas from the first couple of weeks at least.
The intense physical forces created by the building's collapse made cleanup a prodigious challenge. Each tower hit the ground at 125 miles per hour, producing a gravity load, or weight, of roughly 500,000 tons. This caused severe debris compression deep into the building's foundation.
When you take a building that tall and it falls straight down, that steel becomes so compact and so tight, like packing a snowball. And the cleanup was very difficult in the beginning. Large amounts of steel, all meshed and twisted and bent together.
At the height of its involvement, Mazzocchi had 25 pieces of equipment working at the site. Their 130-foot long-reach boom was one of Ground Zero's major players.
The machines were running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The only time they would get a break is in between shift change, which would be literally only a half hour to service the machines.
Further complicating the cleanup were the constant reminders of the human scale of the tragedy. In late May 2002, 8 months after the attacks, demolition crews removed the last structural steel beam from Ground Zero. A solemn ceremony marked the milestone.
The 4 demolition contractors removed 1.8 million tons of debris, and that's pretty much of a miracle. What was left at the end, very little of it was of any economic value, but the industry was able to recycle an awful lot of the steel that came out of the World Tower. And an awful lot of it was sent to the scrapyard and has been used to build new things, which is how it should be.